Sayfullo Saipov has his booking photo taken after a previous arrest in Missouri. Federal investigators said in court papers that Saipov has confessed to driving a truck onto a bike path Tuesday in Manhattan, killing 8 people. St. Charles County Department of Corrections/Getty Images Patterson, NJ. Over the past few weeks, Carlos Batista noticed something odd. His neighbor Sayfullo Saipov would occasionally drive a Home Depot pickup truck on the block, even though he didn't seem to be carrying any building material or doing any construction work. Batista, 23, said he noticed Saipov driving the truck around with a couple of his friends. They didn't even have one piece of wood in there, and that's why I found it a little suspicious, Batista said. And I do construction, so I know when somebody is doing some type of work. Federal agents suspect the earlier rentals were part of Saipov's preparation for the attack he carried out Tuesday, mowing down bicyclists and pedestrians on a busy bike path on the west side of Manhattan. 8 people were killed and a dozen injured, the deadliest act of terrorism in New York City since the World Trade Center was felled by airplane hijackers in 2001. According to criminal charges filed Wednesday night, Saipov rented the truck on October 22 to practice making turns with the vehicle in preparation for the attack. The criminal complaint said Saipov confessed he began planning for it about a year ago. Saipov emigrated to the United States from Uzbekistan in 2010, and before moving to Patterson he lived in Ohio and Florida. Counterterrorism officials say they had not previously investigated him, but his name had surfaced in an FBI probe of a friend, and he was named as a point of contact on immigration paperwork for other immigrants. Law enforcement officials cautioned that in the small, tight-knit world of Uzbek immigrants to the United States, it was not that unusual for Saipov's name to surface in multiple settings. They added that until Monday, federal agents had not found anything to prompt specific concerns about him. In his confession to authorities after the attack, Saipov left no doubt about his motive: support for Islamic State, also known as ISIS. According to the criminal complaint filed against him, Saipov requested to display ISIS's flag in his hospital room and stated that he felt good about what he had done. Investigators also said he had been watching violent Islamic State videos on his phone for months. Friends and acquaintances said since he came to the United States, Saipov worked intermittently as a truck driver and an Uber driver, but some said he had a bad temper and lost driving jobs because of it. When his neighbor Batista saw the Home Depot rental truck on his block, Saipov was always driving, and his 2 friends were passengers. While he found Saipov's use of the truck odd, he didn't stand out in other ways, the neighbor said. Batista thought of him generally as a calming influence in the neighborhood, where he had lived for about half a year. Old friends from Argentina reunited in New York. 5 died together in a terrorist attack. One time, when Batista was riding his dirt bike, he got into an argument with 2 of Saipov's friends. Saipov emerged from his house to break up the dispute. He was the peacemaker, Batista said. I went on my way. Batista did not know the names of the 2 men Saipov was often seen with. FBI officials have questioned Saipov's wife, who has denied any knowledge of the planned violence, according to a person familiar with the discussion. The person, who spoke to his wife by phone Tuesday evening but did not want to be identified, said she seemed shocked and horrified and scared and sad. At the time, federal agents were at her house, encouraging her to cooperate to ensure no one else was harmed. Other neighbors on the block of Genesee Avenue where Saipov lived said nothing struck them as unusual about the 29-year-old father of 3 young children. Altana Dimitrovska, a tenant who lived in the same small apartment complex, said she was surprised by the news. She used to see Saipov bringing one of his children to school in the mornings. Speaking through a translator, Dimitrovska said she once asked him if he ever went to work, because she would see him on the sidewalk a lot. He said, "Yeah, I do go to work. But I never saw him going to work," she said. Asked whether she ever saw anything suspicious about the man, the 63-year-old neighbor replied, No. Before he lived in Patterson, Saipov and his family lived in an apartment in Tampa, next to Keong Egan. Egan called Saipov shy, soft-spoken, very quiet. He was a small guy, only 100 pounds and 5 feet tall, she said. I could have punched and knocked him down. "I can't believe this small guy did this monstrous thing." During the time Saipov and his family were her neighbors, she said, he was very generous to her. He would give me a whole case.